You've built an app, and your app has many active users. But how do you make it easier for your users to purchase products and services within your app? If this is the kind of question that keeps you up at night, you should check out Huawei In-App Purchases. In-App Purchases essentially provides 5 payment services. When you configure products in your app, the product management service can automatically display localized languages and prices for these products based on the countries or regions where users are located. This enables global automatic pricing through a single configuration. The Merchant Management Service helps you easily open in-app purchases services and manage public and private keys. Before you launch your app, you can use the Sandbox Testing service to test the entire product purchase process and product renewal scenarios. Different test cycles can be selected according to individual needs, while no real payments are needed throughout the process. When a user places an order, the Order Management Service allows you to obtain and query the details of the order at any time. The Order Management Service helps you with full lifecycle management, from ordering and shipments to after-sales services, so you don't miss any orders. The subscription service offers promotion options such as free trials and discounts. Automatic renewal is also supported to help your app generate stable revenue. The subscription status changes and subscription reports help you optimize the products in your app accordingly. In-app purchases integrates global mainstream payment methods and covers over 170 countries and regions around the world, making it easy for users to buy a variety of digital products and services within your app. In-app purchases complies with the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard and the EU General Data Protection Regulation. With advanced security technology, in-app purchases ensures payment security and protects the privacy of your users worldwide. Adopt Huawei in-app purchases to push for incremental growth in-app conversion and monetization.
So the Huawei in-app purchase kit allows developers to actually have monetization in their apps. When you or have a payment system, you're able to use the Huawei in-app purchase kit to conveniently make the user's life easier by just having to do simple steps and then being able to process their payment much quicker. It supports mainstream payments. It gives you global coverage with over 140 countries. And the nice thing about that is that it also does the automatic conversion of currencies as well as the language of wherever the user is that is using your app. So you don't have to configure that yourself. And it also offers convenient services for you to be able to manage your app's merchandise and products, basically. So looking into the mainstream payments, it allows you to be able to make payments with things with your Visa, which is your credit card. You're able to do your data payments using data and as well as mobile money. You're also able to use Huawei points for paying. So there is a range of systems which you're able to use for you to be able to accept payments into your app. And with the fact that it's able to do automatic conversion of currency, that is also a nice capability that just takes away some of the complexities in your code. And just looking into that and product management of your merchandise in your app, what you as the developer have to do first is you first have to create the products and also configure the product IDs on your server. And then after that, you can then have the user get into the markets where your products are listed. And from there, they can request the product through your app. And then the Huawei in-app purchase kit core APK will then send back the product information so that the user can then see it, and that it also handles the payment within itself. So after you've shown the details, then the user starts handling the payment. Your application, basically, you don't have to write all of that logic. The part where you have to do the processing of the payment, that is done by the actual kit itself.
And Tutuka?
Yes.
So do you guys take 30% like Apple and Google does? Yeah.
I think that is the case. I have not done the profit share myself. I will check on that for you. But the last time I checked, it was a 70-30 split.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, so looking at payment scenarios and the product types that you can have. So you have, so we have three types of product types that we offer on the platform. You first have consumables, and you have non-consumables, and also renewable subscriptions. So looking at consumables first, these are the things that you use just once on your app and then it's gone. For example, if your game has lives on it and the user has to pay for those lives, then those are the kind of things that your consumables will be, because your users have to pay for them over and over again. And your non-consumables are things that you pay only once and then it's unlocked for life. So it would be an extra game in a level, or it could be a secret weapon that they have to get, because after it's unlocked, they have access to it forever. And we have also renewable subscriptions, which allow you to have the subscription model onto your application, if you have a streaming service, for example, or any other kind of service that requires subscription. Yes. Now, looking into how really the development process has to go, and having the process, the payment process, go from start to beginning. The user has to first, I think, ask for the product item, which has to get the product information, and then from there, after it's requested, the product information has been requested from the in-app purchase server through the product ID. The HMS AIP will actually then create a purchase for that particular ID, and after that, it will return that information to the app client so that it's able to process that and save that information to the server. And after all of that has been processed, then the user, of course, will, in the meantime, be seeing a screen where they have to fill in their details, then have to confirm the prices. After they confirm the prices, then they can click on confirm purchase or payment, and then after that, it is returned through the AIP server. After that, it's received from the client to confirm that they have actually paid for the service that you're offering. And most of that mechanism actually happens within the server itself, in terms of creating the purchase and confirming the currency and the language and the payment itself. And when sometimes what you might have is that you want to replenish the order, or your user actually logged out before the purchase was actually completed. So what the IAP server does is that it will then update the purchase order information and then check if that order was actually processed or not. And for all the orders that were processed, it will return a list of the ones that were processed and also the ones that weren't processed, so that you're able to merge any discrepancies between your app's server as well as the IAP server. And that is one of the nice things that the kit offers is that if your user actually loses power while they're actually still processing payment, or they clicked pay, but they had a network error or something like that, it will then cache all that information without having to have actually made the process, the payment being processed, so that the user is able to actually check and verify that the purchase that they were trying to make is that actual purchase. And now looking into the subscription model, you have a set period of time in terms of how many days does a cycle have to repeat, and from there, so what happens is that after you've configured all those days which your period has to align, then your user, what they will then first do is that each and every time that the period has elapsed, they will then have the money debited from your account and all of that, and that will be then paid to the account that is linked to the Huawei ID that was used for the developer account. And that is mainly one of the reasons why you have to provide your credit card information when you create your Huawei ID, so that when that process happens automatically, you actually get your money automatically as well. Yeah, so this is the process of how you see the subscription information for the user, and also how you have to set the information for the user to be able to see. So also the capability that you get when you actually use the kits is that you can get a sandbox test that you're able to simulate the times at which the subscription will elapse, and you're also able to test payment methods, and you don't actually have to use your actual credit card information or your payment details, because it's a sandbox and it allows you to be able to test that functionality while you actually haven't gone to production. Yeah. So when looking into integration and how you would get this service into your application, you would first have to go into your developer console and enable the IAP service on App Gallery console. And after that, you would have to configure the products which you want to show on your app. And then from there, you do the coding, which is the integration, and then you can use the sandbox testing to check your code. So on App Gallery console, this is where you would have to go to actually do the configuration, and you have to copy that public key because you're going to use it in your code to be able to actually do some authentication with the IAP service. Yes. And the second thing that you then have to do is configure your products. And when you configure your products, this is the screen that you will see. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's the screen. Yes. So this is so for you to be able to configure your products, when you initially get into the App Gallery console, you get into distribute. That's where it'll show your app being at. But then you have to change it to operate, because that's where you have an operational view of your application, and you will then see your products listed there, and you can either add a product and choose the type of information that you want to put into your product. And this is basically the two parameters that you will be interfacing with mostly on your application to be able to um, communicate with the configuration of that particular product. Looking into the code, so the first thing that you have to do when you're now looking into your code is to first check if the IAP service is ready, and that is by calling is environment ready. And what this function does is that it first checks if the app is actually, the IAP service is actually supported in in the country at which the user is actually using their application. And it's not checking specifically where the developer had actually coded the application. So this is very important, because if your user uses your application and the IAP kit is actually not supporting their country, you will then get errors. And there will be discrepancies in terms of you getting errors from users saying that it doesn't work, and when you check with your testing, it actually works in your region. So that's why you actually have to really use this function so that you make sure you account for that error. After calling that function, then now you can then obtain your product information. That is by calling the product obtain product info function, and basically you pass it the ID or the IDs of the products that you want to get the information for, and it will basically go to the IAP server and retrieve that information, and then your app client will then either save it to the server or show it to the user, depending on how you actually process the information after it comes back from the server. And after you've obtained the information, then you can create a purchase intent. This basically is the one that shows up the screen here on the right corner, which basically is now interfacing with the users to say that we're trying to sell, you're trying to basically process the information, choose the payment method that you want to use. And after that, after they have confirmed all the information from the screen, then the result is sent back, which allows you to then initiate your purchase. And after you initiate your purchase, you then have to call the function of having to get the order status, which is that here purchase info get return code, so that you can be able to check the status of the payment after the user has pressed. Maybe the user doesn't have enough funds, or the user actually decided to cancel. Then you'll be able to see that the user has canceled that payment. Now from there, the user has to confirm the purchase, and after the purchase has been confirmed, the app client will then obtain their own purchase, send it to the IAP service. The IAP service will then do the processing of sending the money to the relevant parties, and then get you the results information depending on whether the payment was successful or not. And from there, you then also have to send back to the IAP service information about whether the product that was used, was it a consumable, or was it a non-consumable, or a subscription? Because when you do this returning of information here, you're basically updating the information on AGC to say that if it was a consumable, the user has used it or they've paid it, and now you can replenish and do this count of how many they have or they don't have. And then after you've done the integration, then you can do the sandbox testing, where you're now able to go to AGC and just put a test account for the user that will be testing your application, and it will process the information of the payment as if there are actually valid details, even if they aren't. And this is actually very handy, especially if you don't really like providing your credit card information, then and you are pretty much not sure if you are handling the payment information correctly on your app, then you can just first do the testing, and then when you fixed everything, take it to